Welcome back to The Survival Historian, where the grit of endurance meets the weight of history. Today, we're asking a question that sounds deceptively simple but carries profound implications. Could a modern pair of socks have changed the course of countless lives during World War II? Picture this, the frozen hell of the Ardennes forest in winter, where soldiers faced an enemy far more relentless than German artillery, the bone-crushing cold. Thousands of men lost toes, feet, and sometimes entire limbs, not to bullets but to frostbite and trench foot. What if they'd been equipped with today's sealskins merino socks, engineered with waterproof membranes and advanced thermal technology that didn't exist in the 1940s? Let's step into the trenches and find out. The winter campaigns of World War II were nothing short of catastrophic for foot health. During the Battle of the Bulge alone, American forces suffered over 15,000 cold-weather casualties, men who never faced combat but were rendered combat ineffective by their own boots. The Eastern Front was even more brutal. Soviet and German soldiers alike endured temperatures plunging to minus 40 degrees Celsius, where exposed flesh froze in minutes, and standard-issue footwear became little more than wet, freezing prisons for the feet. Archival photographs show medics performing field amputations on frostbitten limbs that had turned black and gangrenous, a sight that haunted medical corps personnel for decades. These weren't isolated incidents. Cold injuries accounted for a staggering percentage of non-combat casualties, sometimes exceeding battlefield wounds in certain sectors. The problem wasn't just the cold, it was the insidious combination of moisture, freezing temperatures, and prolonged immobility that created the perfect storm for tissue damage. The standard-issue military sock of World War II was typically made from wool or a wool-cotton blend, materials chosen for availability and basic insulation properties. But here's where the fatal flaw revealed itself. These socks had no waterproof barrier. When soldiers trudged through snow-choked forests, waded across icy streams, or stood guard in waterlogged foxholes, their socks absorbed moisture like sponges. Wet wool loses up to 70% of its insulating capacity, transforming from a protective layer into a cold, clammy conductor of heat loss. Cotton was even worse, offering virtually no thermal protection when saturated and taking hours to dry in field conditions where fires were often forbidden. The physiological consequences were devastating. Prolonged exposure to wet, cold conditions above freezing caused non-freezing cold injuries, like trench foot, where tissue damage occurred without ice crystal formation. Below freezing, frostbite set in as ice crystals literally shredded cell structures from the inside. Soldiers tried everything, layering multiple pairs of socks, stuffing newspapers into boots, even wrapping their feet in rags, but without modern materials science, they were fighting a losing battle against the laws of thermodynamics. Enter sealskins merino socks, a piece of engineering that would have seemed like science fiction to a 1940s quartermaster. These aren't just socks, they're sophisticated survival systems built around a patented three-layer architecture. The outer layer provides abrasion resistance and structural integrity. The middle layer, the game changer, is a hydrophilic membrane called aquaseals that creates an absolute barrier against liquid water while remaining breathable enough to allow water vapor from perspiration to escape. Think of it as a one-way valve for moisture. The inner layer utilizes premium merino wool, which naturally wicks moisture away from skin, resists odor, and maintains thermal properties even in damp conditions. This multi-layer system creates a microclimate around the foot that stays dry regardless of external conditions. The waterproof membrane means soldiers could wade through a stream and emerge with dry feet inside their boots, a capability that would have been miraculous on the Eastern Front. Let's conduct a thought experiment grounded in measurable reality. Take a World War II-era wool sock and a modern sealskin sock, then subject both to identical cold, wet conditions that mirror battlefield environments. Submerge both in near-freezing water, then measure temperature retention and drying time. The results would be dramatic. The wool sock saturates completely, its fibers heavy with water, thermal resistance plummeting. After 6 hours in cold conditions, it might still be damp, the wearer's feet vulnerable to cold injury. The sealskin sock, by contrast, keeps the inner layer bone dry. Its membrane repels external water while managing internal moisture, maintaining foot temperature several degrees higher, a difference that literally separates healthy tissue from frostbite. In extended field conditions spanning days or weeks, this technological advantage compounds exponentially. Could sealskin socks have prevented the tens of thousands of cold-weather casualties that plagued Allied and Axis forces alike? The evidence strongly suggests yes, though we must acknowledge that footwear was one element in a complex system. Nutrition, shelter, tactical doctrine, and medical care all played roles. But at the fundamental level, keeping feet dry and warm was the critical variable, and modern waterproof breathable technology achieves this in ways impossible with 1940s materials. We're talking about potentially saving thousands of limbs, preventing lifelong disabilities, and keeping combat-effective troops in the field. It's a sobering reminder that sometimes the most profound military innovations aren't weapons. They're the unglamorous technologies that keep soldiers alive and functional. The soldiers who fought in those frozen hellscapes deserved better. Understanding what modern science could have offered them deepens our respect for their sacrifice and resilience. Here at the Survival Historian, we believe that studying these intersections of history and survival technology honors their memory while preparing us for our own challenges. If this investigation opened your eyes to the unsung technologies of survival, hit that like button, share this video with fellow history enthusiasts, and subscribe to the Survival Historian. There's always more to discover about how humans endure the impossible. Until next time, stay resilient.